got nothing to lose, I'm all in. Walking the edge, don't fall in.
We've got nothing to lose. We're all in. The time is ours, and we're changing. Amazed, surprised, transformed with no compromise. This is the Game-Changing Podcast, where people deserve to win, where magic moments shape our destiny, and where insights from the world's greatest performers in business, sports, and personal development bring you to the edge and change your game. Please welcome your host, Annieca Acker.
I'm Annieca.
I'm Andre.
Can you imagine what it's like to do business on a boat? We can, because that's what we're doing right now. It's called or podcasting on a boat. And the benefit of that is, how did we get here? And we got here by Andre's story. And that's what we're going to learn about today, is how did he get here? And he's opening up his playbook so that we can all get here. Can you imagine having Bill Belichick's playbook in front of you, and alongside that, the creator of the plays beside you to run them? How successful would you be? So, Andre, please share a little bit about yourself and how we got here today.
Well, it's crazy. I have to ask, did you know I was a Patriot fan?
I did like him until this moment. Shit happens, as you know, right?
Well, you talked about the master. I mean, so what better model to master than the Patriots? I mean, they do it day in and day out, right? The Patriot way. Yep. So I kind of reference that a lot. And when I'm talking about things with people, I'll reference the Patriots often, because it's hard to duplicate,
Yes.
to repeat, So when you have success once, that's where people, I think, get scared, is they have to do it again. So it's not sustainable. And that's where they get that fear factor sets in, and then they kind of shut down and go back and revert back to their comfort zone. So when you talk about the Patriots, the Patriot way, man, they stay there. So that was a good start.
Of course. Well, you know what? The great thing about the Patriots, like them or not, listen, I'm neutral here. We're podcasting. We're not going to talk about sports, because that would take us way over there, not here in business, okay? And right now, I want to change where you are in the game of business, because we got a top performer here. And so when we talk about the Patriots, the great thing about them is the great thing about you is you're constantly in the game, practicing daily. I've been able to observe it, because I've been with you for the past few days to realize, regardless of where you are, you're still playing.
Always.
You're still playing.
Always. And that's what's nice about being out here right now and having the boat. I can do everything I can do in the office here on the boat. I don't have to be isolated to an office situation. We can do everything we need to do from here. So it makes it kind of nice.
Can you guys imagine playing at Super Bowl level on a boat? Which is really where business can happen. Business doesn't always happen in the boardrooms, and that's where people think it always takes place. And right now, we're talking about really how are you a game changer, right? First, and then with his book opening right now, how is it going to change the way you play your game? And so let's start there, Andre. Really, 20 plus years ago, really, you stepped into how to play this game of business, and this isn't your first merry-go-round, so.
I'm going to have to age it even more, because it's probably 30 plus years ago.
That's what happens with a guy versus a gal.
It was when I was in my early 20s. I was actually 20 when I started my first business, and that was in health clubs. So it wasn't anything I intended on being a part of. That's just where it started. And it just kept going from there. And still looking for new opportunities every day.
He's going to say he starts in health clubs, and here's the beauty about knowing Andre a little bit. This is where people think, career starts, and they actually think because of what's happening around them, they're striking out in life. In reality, that's where they're building their character, their grit, and they learn how to play this game of life. Because at that point, Andre, I learned today that your girlfriend was at BYU, and yes, you had been together since high school. Now his wife, by the way, and that at that point, a lot of people would consider what happened, which his wife became pregnant, girlfriend at the time became pregnant. And people would consider that to be a strike in life, or a strike one at least. And you decided it was a potential ability to hit a home run in life.
I don't know that I realized any of that. I look at it now, and I could look back and say it was an absolute blessing, because at the pace I was going, I mean, I was just super reckless, careless, and it was all about the thrills. And I was playing football in college, so that was kind of fun. Not a lot of people get that opportunity, but to have that opportunity was kind of neat. But I knew it wasn't going anywhere. So the simple fact that she ended up pregnant kind of made me realize it's time to grow up. And I missed a lot of the fun times in my 20s, but I don't regret it for a second. I think it was probably, like I said to you earlier, it was a blessing. And it was probably the thing that kind of narrowed down my focus and made me realize that I got to get to work. And I had a family to support. And then more importantly than that, or not more importantly, but just as important, I wanted a certain lifestyle that I had never experienced before. And I think that was the thing that was the catalyst, was having a kid. And then it was like, now it's time. And then it just kind of morphed from there. And I can look back at many different moments in my life where it was like the moments where it was, I thought life was going to be over. And man, it was just the beginning every single time. When I thought it was the end, that was the beginning. And I think that's like super important for people to understand, is sometimes you're in a situation where you do think it's the end, but it's just beginning. And when it's just beginning, you have to realize you have a long ways to go, but you're going to go down a path that a lot of people haven't been down. And most of the time you're alone. You're by yourself on that path.
How beautiful, though, to have those, as you called it, I think he means oh shit moment, if I can fill in the blanks. And the beauty of the oh shit moments is it's called learning. And within that space of learning, it gives people the ability, the opportunity to earn, not just professionally, but personally, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Personally. So share what that meant to you, and how that really is one of your driving forces right now, is that personally, that commitment that you had to your kid and everything else.
Yeah, it was, obviously I'm Mexican. Surprise.
Surprise!
Yeah. So, traditionally, it's a family unit. You want to stay as a family, and when you commit to it, you stay with it. And that was one of the things that was super important to me. I know we had tons of issues, obviously, family dynamics, religious aspects, all kinds of different things going on with this, but we as a unit knew that we wanted to be together, and that was the most important thing, and we were starting a family. So it was just cutting all the kid stuff off and becoming an adult. That was the challenge.
And you know what, if you relate that to business, how many of you know really you have a business in mind, as you said, or I'll just say glossed over, all these struggles inside of that coming together. Guys, okay, he's Mexican, he said it already, so I have the ability to say it. His wife, Mormon, beautiful Kim. The beauty of that is, well, I'll say beauty now because it's 31 plus years later that they're together and have this beautiful business, and here we're sitting on a boat doing business. And the great thing about that is that was not as transparent as it seemed. And in business, it's, you have an idea and it's going to work, as you and Kim knew it was going to work. There was no doubt once you were bringing in life.
Yeah.
Speak to that.
Well, it's really, I don't think you ever know what you're going to experience. And that's the one thing, people always say, well, I want to wait until my plan is perfect. I want to, get it all thought out. Well, those are people that are still watching from the sidelines, as you would say.
Spectators in life, not game changers in life. And remember, we're talking about game changing, and that's what you are.
Yeah. So it was super important that I had to realize that it was time to grow up. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was a kid. I played football. I never had a job, never did any of that stuff. So it was kind of, what am I going to do? Well, the only thing I knew how to do was work out. And so that's what I did. I went to a gym and started training people to make money, because I had to start to earn. that was the thing that I was passionate about at the time and the thing that I understood. So I went to a gym and started working out and started training people. And literally everything kind of started from there. I didn't see myself really ever as a business owner. I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I thought I was going to go to school and get a job like everybody else. That's kind of the thing. Nobody in my family went to college, so that was like a big deal. And then after that, it was like, okay, now that I'm going to college, now what do I want to do? And I didn't know what I thought I wanted to be an attorney, then I wanted to be a sports attorney. So that was the direction I was going until the oh shit moment happened, and then everything kind of just shifted. And that's when I had to grow up, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because then I learned what college doesn't teach you, and that's how to grow up and run a business and learn how to operate a business, and more importantly, create opportunities for others. And that was the thing that was really neat, is I had the opportunity to create opportunity for a lot of people. So I hired 6-7 salespeople and started teaching them how to make phone calls and how to sell memberships and train people, and a lot of things changed and evolved from that moment.
Guys, mind you, he started from the position of oh shit moment, as many of us do in business, right? We have this brilliant idea, and there's this oh shit moment, how are we going to make it happen? And he went from personal training to how many people? Developing and training so that you could basically build a business. So at the age of 20, you were building your first business, even though you didn't know.
Well, at the time, yeah, I didn't even own it. I was literally working there for somebody else, just selling memberships and training people to make money. And he came in one day, threw a contract on my desk at 6 o'clock in the morning and said, if you like it, sign it. If you don't, okay, I understand. And so literally he had to vacate the club. It wasn't a good situation for his family dynamics. So he ended up selling me the club at 20 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. I just had an opportunity, and I kind of got screwed in it. I can't say I got screwed. That would be the foolish thing to say. It just made me a little bit more aware of things. I didn't know the big picture. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know anything about it. So I didn't even know to look at the revenue was coming in, what bills were going to have to go out, and then to pay payrolls and all. I had no clue. So what he did is he took the check draft, and that was the security to pay him, and everything else I'd have to earn through daily sales. So it was a scramble, but you know.
So he sold you on the American dream, really.
Pretty much.
He really created that vision to say, here's what it looks like. Unfortunately, he didn't give you a roadmap. And today, with your company, what I've already realized is for people to succeed in this partnership, they have to have a roadmap, and you've generated that. You learned the hard way.
Oh, gosh, without a doubt. I mean, God, I think many people say the same thing. You're wrong more than you're right. And I've been wrong so many times. And that's why if I can prevent somebody else from going down that road, gosh, I'll do it in a heartbeat. But chances are, as you know it, people don't listen. They know better. They can do it better. So you got to sometimes just let them go down that road. And that's the most challenging thing ever, is to see people and allow them to fail. It's challenging. But, I mean, you know, the saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force them to drink. It's true in everyday life with people. They want the world, they want your life, they want everything about it until they have to, you know, go up a little bit of a hill, which I always think of as an obstacle, and then all of a sudden they don't want it that bad anymore. So that strong desire turns into, well, maybe not. It's more of being interested than committed. So, you know, and that's the difference is are you interested or are you totally committed? And I say that to all the people that work with us now. You know, where do you stand on this? Are you committed or are you just interested? Because there's a significant difference between the two, and most people are just interested. They're afraid to get dirty.
Yeah, and you know as well as I, man, you got to get in the dirt. You've got to get dirty. You have to literally not only get dirty, you have to have bruises and scrapes and claws and everything when you look back, because success does not happen perfectly. Never. And when somebody says that, it's just like, man, I got to question that a lot. I've heard it. Trust me, you and I, especially with ClickFunnels nowadays in social media. All you have to do is use ClickFunnels, and you'll make millions.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Such a bullshit lie.
Yeah, the reality of it is, I know that there's so much more to it than just I don't know what. Follow me and you're going to make millions of dollars. I see that stuff every day, and usually those are the people that are on the internet that can't rub two nickels together. I mean, it's kind of a crack up, because when you can do it, you're going to be out doing it. You're not going to be sitting there trying to tell others how to do it. You're just going to do it, and others will follow, and then they will pick up and start doing it on their own as well. And that's what kind of led me into the industry that we're in now, and kind of works out well, because people lead by example, and some of the people that we work with, you ask them that, they'll say, well, I got to lead by example. And so it's kind of nice to be able to work with people that kind of understand it and get it, but it doesn't start that way.
Oh my God, you know what you said? It's the same shit that we learned in kindergarten. It's the not tell, it's the show and tell that's made you successful. You don't step back and tell people how to do it, you show people how to do it. And you've always done that. And that's also why you've now, guys, in 2008, at the peak of his career, at the bottom of the economy, he said, I'm ready to serve more. I'm ready to take that leap of faith, which is how we got here today, which is why he's a game changer, is he took that leap of faith to say, what I've been doing for me and a few, I want to do for many more, and I'm going to open my playbook to all so that you can see how others do it to win in business and personally in life, because we're, again, sitting here on your boat doing business, and that is, absolutely heavenly. So yeah, share that.
It was nothing that I could fathom. I mean, growing up, I never would have imagined. I never would have imagined any of this. And I'm looking around just because this is my zen. I mean, this is where I spend my summers now, and it's kind of a neat thing, because I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would spend my entire summers up here, and then we do now, and it's a great experience. But it didn't come easy, and it didn't come without crazy sacrifice. I mean, I think that's what it all comes down to. I mean, ultimately, that's why we're talking about this stuff, is the sacrifice that comes into creating a business and to have that business sustainable. And you talked about in 2008. Well, I can tell you, I mean, the cherries and the ice cream part of it, but man, I'll tell you what, there was a lot of hot fudge spilled over the side, if I could use that as an analogy, because it was at a time, and if you guys can recall, during that period, that's when we were having a radical mortgage crisis. We were having people were losing homes left and right. I mean, everything was bad in this world, and I'm starting an investment company, coming out of a pretty good career in financial services to go and start another business, and it wasn't the best time, but ultimately it became the best time, because you work harder and you have to work smarter through the situation. And good times, bad times, there's never a perfect time to start. And people that are waiting for that perfect time, the economy's, it's down, so I don't want to start now. I want to wait till it's going up. And then when that's up, they're going to say, well, I need it to go down so then I can have a better chance as it goes up. Man, you start it when you're ready to start it. And sometimes you're not even ready to start it. You just start. And that first step is the scariest one. As you know, like getting in the water here. That first step was the hardest, but once you jumped in, it wasn't so bad. You swim. And that's kind of how business was. I mean, I didn't have a choice. Once I decided I was going to do it, I did it, and I didn't look back, and I was fortunate enough to have the support around me. And I literally came home and told Kim that I was going to sell everything we had in our portfolio, and I'm going to start acquiring land and real estate, and that's what I did. And she didn't question me. She didn't, are you sure we should be doing that right now? Or she didn't do any of that. She just didn't even turn back. She was cooking, and she just said, well, if you think that's the thing that we need to do, then let's do it. And that was it. So I was pretty fortunate that I didn't get, smacked and yelled at and everything else, because I know a lot of people wouldn't feel comfortable with that, they would want to stay with the security, and the security is where most people want to be.
And how many of you are playing at that comfortable level, which means you're only going to continue to get what you've always got? And equally, again, kudos to Kim. The fact that she says, I'm on your team and I'm all in. I don't have my toes in. I've got my whole body in. What he was referring to, guys, is this gentleman, holy shit, Andre, you know, to win in business, there's a lot of firsts. You got to be the first at a lot of things. And yesterday, you see this beautiful river behind us, lake. This beautiful lake behind us. I got in it. It was cold as hell. And the good thing about it is once I got in it, I got on this amazing board. What's it called?
Hydrofoil.
A hydrofoil. I felt like I was like Jesus walking on water, just on a board, you know, on a board and walking. That's stretching it. I was literally crawling on the board after I laid on the board. And that's how business is, right? Business starts with not knowing exactly what you're in for, but knowing you're all in, right? To win the Super Bowl, you're not either partly in or halfway in, you're freaking all in. And the reason is you find ways to win. And talk to that. In 2008.
Well, in 2008, literally, when I made the decision, again, it wasn't a good time economically in our entire economic environment, but once I was committed, I was 100% committed. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize is that I literally took every dollar that I could come up with, every dollar. That included not making mortgage payments, not paying car payments, credit card, boat. I didn't make payments on a lot of things for a long time, so was I in a little bit of trouble? Nah, I guess a little bit maybe. But was
he all in?
Yeah, I was 100%
totally,
all in.
dude.
So
totally get it.
There was no escape.
Yeah.
And did my credit go to shit? Yeah. But I knew all those things were repairable. And one thing I realized was if I made money, it didn't matter. I mean, I could buy what I needed to buy. I didn't have to worry about the credit thing. It almost was a blessing. Yeah. I mean, it truly was almost a blessing. But man, we fought through it. First year was kind of an interesting one, but we made it through the first year. And then going into the second year was kind of the oh shit moments, because that's when I had mortgages due. And I had 3 different houses, one of which my parents were living in. And I don't even think they know this. Well, they know I own the house, but I mean, I bought it from them a long time ago. But the situation was, I mean, I was down to a trustee sale literally within 12 days of having to go tell them the house they lived in for 40 years or 30 years at the time they were going to have to move out of because I lost it. That was an oh shit moment.
And you know what? You still went up and took a swing because you believed in it.
Oh, 100%.
And that is when you don't give up, there's always a way to win. Always.
Absolutely.
Even if it takes longer than you anticipate, there's always a way.
Oh yeah, I remember the feeling and the sleepless nights and how am I going to explain this to them and tell them they're going to have to move out of, you know, their dream home and everything. It was a crazy time. I mean, that was freaking hell. I mean, I don't know. There's no other way to describe it, but I'll tell you what, it got me up early and kept me fighting every day. I mean, every day was a fight and a battle, but ultimately, you know, I believed that I was going to prevail, and ultimately I did. I mean, I got down to 4 days and went and paid off the past balance and secured that one, and then I waited 2 months to do the other one that I was living in at the time. And you know, even that was crazy because my kids didn't know anything about it at all. Kim knew, and that was it. The kids didn't know anything, and we'd get people knocking on the door wanting to buy the house, or they'd get something posted on the door. Dad, what is this thing? We have so many days left on the house and all this stuff. You know, it's so embarrassing, but yet you don't have time to be embarrassed. You know, you have to just work through it. And to this day, the kids still don't have any idea that when they see this, they'll learn it for the first time what that really was, because they had friends with them. And I was like, oh God, salespeople. And I grabbed it, went up to the room, and we kind of walked through it. It's like, okay, what do we have going on? We knew the deals that we had going and everything that we had lined up, but it was still if one thing went wrong, man, we would have had to tell the kids where we have to move.
Let's talk about, because how many people are at that same, what many would consider to be their breaking point, their strike one, strike two, strike three. They would have given up. What part of you knew this was there?
I can't say that I honestly knew anything. The only thing I knew at the time was I had to get this done. I mean, so I don't know that I ever had that grand vision. You know, I hear people say, you know, they knew they could do these certain things. I don't know that I ever had that. I mean, the one thing that was a driver for me was I always felt inadequate and subpar to everything around me. So I think that's the one thing that drives me every day, is not feeling good enough. And, you know, good, bad, or indifferent, it works for me. And that little feeling of inadequacy is what pushes me even more every day.
And you know what? That little, and thank you for sharing that, honestly. When you think about inadequacy, how many of us, honestly, regardless of where we start, regardless of where we are, or regardless of where we look, still feel it. Feel it.
Yeah.
Where does that stem from?
Well, I mean, you can feel it, and you can let it suppress you. You can feel it or have it drive you. I mean, it's your choice. And for me, it pushes me. It pushes me because I see people with the lifestyles and possessions and just different things. So not that this is all about materialism or things like that, but I mean, sometimes you have to have a driver, and you have to have something that you're shooting for that's going to inspire you to go out and go to work and do the things that you need to do, make the tough decisions, make the sacrifices. And that's what it ultimately comes down to, is a sacrifice. And I think that's the one thing that most people don't want to realize, is that there's going to be sacrifices involved in order to have any level of success.
And let's be honest, anybody, if you're sitting there saying, oh, I don't want to be on a boat, if you're sitting there saying, I don't want to fly first class, or I don't want to fly private or anything else, don't lie to yourself. You simply means you've freaking settled. Honestly, let's be honest.
Yep.
You've settled because you've believed somebody else's truth are actually yours. And so literally, I'm going to call bullshit as it is at this point.
Good.
Really, everything we are experiencing starts with a vision. Everything. A boat starts with a vision. Going to outer space starts with a vision. It takes somebody like you, who's a game changer, somebody like me, who says, not only do I see the freaking vision, I'm willing to take the action to win. And I'm not willing to quit no matter what, because the outcome is what I see it to be. And sometimes I'll do it on my own, and sometimes we'll do it together, because dream work does take teamwork. It really does.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I absolutely agree with you 1,000%, because I know that by myself, none of this would have ever happened.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, Kim does so much, and gosh, works probably 10 times harder than I do. Can't say that. Hopefully she doesn't see that.
Listen, Kim, I know you're going to be out there at some point listening. He said you're his best friend. You guys have known each other since elementary school, middle school, junior high. You guys started dating in high school. So I've never met you. What I do know is 31 beautiful plus years, 2 great children that are participating in this vision of humanity, really humanity, because when we talk about business is built on family, and you have been built on family since you guys met, and now you guys have your family, I'll say it, wash, rinse, and repeat, and that's making it simple, but talk to that.
Yeah, I mean, I right, wrong, or indifferent, I mean, it's always challenging, because sometimes you think that when you give kids stuff that they don't value things. So it's a tough balance. But what I wanted to do is create an opportunity for them that would far surpass my days. I didn't have that. So with them, I mean, I'm giving each of them something that they're passionate about. So my older son, he went the medical direction, so it's kind of fun. And that kind of was something that was, it kind of morphed out of nothing. My mom fell down, broke her tibia up here, and we had to take her home and get an operation. She got her operation. They put her in a convalescent rehab, or they wanted to put her in a convalescent rehab. We went and looked at 3 of them. Oh my gosh, it was the most disgusting thing I ever experienced. My dad was in tears. God, I didn't even know what to say to that. It was the toughest thing. I just said, don't worry, Dad, she will never be here. I will never let this happen. And I said, I'll get home health care. I'll do whatever I have to do. And when we drove away that day, God, I remember it so hot. I looked at Kim and I said, look, it's my responsibility at this point. We have to build these things and give people dignity, and they will never have care like that. I mean, people sitting over by themselves and soiled over here. The place stunk. I mean, it was so awful. And so that was the moment that I realized that I'm going to build assisted living centers and communities for people that they've really shaped and molded so many others. And now they're, as their life is changing, I mean, to live a great life and to end it that way, just without dignity at all, it just made me sick. So I know that right now, because we have other businesses, as we build this, I will overbuild it and I will overdo it and not regret it, because I want them to have total dignity all the way to the end. Super, super important to me, because if it was my parents, I would want the same for them.
Guys, can you imagine or please put yourself in a position, when is the last time you've been involved with a company professionally that really cares about you as if you're family, and just as you're taking care of your family and said, no way will I have them who shaped me, not me allow them to continue to shape the future. And you're doing that through so many ways. Honestly, as you said, the assisted living, and you have a company called Cow Choice, which allows individuals to say, listen, if you're really ready to serve and belong, not just serve, but belong to a family, and you're willing to put that freaking hard work in, I am willing to say, here's my playbook. It has not been easy, guys. It's not been easy.
No. So what she's referring to, and I have to clarify this because we almost got into a little legal battle over this, but it's Cow Choice Financial. So Cow Choice is kind of like the surname to many. So we have Cow Choice Financial, Cow Choice Investments, Cow Choice Aviation, and I thought there was one more, but maybe not. I think that's about where the Cow Choice families end right there.
Family. You always belong. It's where do you fit in?
Yeah, so there's multiple sides to that. So I was fortunate enough to be able to combine 2 passions. I mean, I love financial advisory. I mean, that's just one of my greatest passions, and I love real estate investing. So I was kind of blessed to be in a situation where somebody taught me. I was already in the financial services, and somebody taught me about the real estate investment side, and I was able to bring the 2 together, and now we've built 2 pretty decent sized companies based upon that, Inc. 5000 companies. So it's kind of a cool thing. It was a great experience and neat to be a part of it.
Game changer.
Yeah, and you had your guy Tony came out and spoke at one of the events, and he had walked out on stage and admittedly said he'd never made it. He'd never been part of the Inc. 5000. It was one of the things that he always wanted to do and never did it. And now he gets to speak at it. So I guess he kind of made it in his own way. So
epic. How epic is that? Yeah. Literally, and what he's reflecting to is I studied under Tony Robbins for 1.5 years with him and his wife Sage, doing all their leadership programs. And you believe, because success leaves trails, and proximity is truly power, not knowledge. Proximity is power. It took me a long time to learn that. So I studied under Tony Robbins and his wife Sage, and what you have done, Tony wishes he had ever done. So thank you.
No, God, he's at a totally different level than I am.
Yeah.
But,
you took a leap of faith. Yeah, you took a leap of faith to say in 2008, in a depressed, repressed time, that I'm willing to risk it all, as most game changers do, to give the ability of what I know back to many. Not only personally, because that's how you help people, is personally we can help them get to a zero tax bracket, quote unquote, and give them access to things like policies that Bill Gates has and Warren Buffett has and all of these people, which is game changing because they don't even know about it. And then professionally take them under our wing and say, if you want to do it, we're here to help you. We'll help you fly with your wings too, not just ours.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting thing. What Anissa is referring to is our financial services company, and that kind of came about not by plan. There was no design for that, so there was no grand vision for that either. I was out speaking to people on the real estate investment side, and I would go out and I would speak to massive groups of financial advisors because I knew that they controlled other people's money, and I wanted to be able to help them understand the non-correlated investment side. So it's non-correlated to the market, and they could have that fixed hard asset in their portfolio that they wouldn't have to worry about. Just understanding the dynamics of real estate, buying land in the path of growth, and seeing the value and everything mature. So it's not just about receiving the income today, but understanding the income for tomorrow.
Potential.
So that's where it kind of started, and then that being out on the road and being around people that were with a lot of different financial institutions, all different walks of life, but ultimately realizing they're not getting trained, they're not getting respected, they're not getting paid properly, all of those things. And it created a lot of cynicism for a while towards the industry that I had left for a period of time as I was building this other business. And then so many of those individuals I felt horrible for. I mean, they were just getting totally taken advantage because I knew what we were paying on compensation to the companies, and then to see what the companies were paying the individuals, it was really bad. And that's when I realized that I just wanted to do something to help people be in a better position, so that they could put forth the same efforts and make the money they deserve to make.
Isn't it always, though, again, game changer, you saw an opportunity to make it better for all and said, I'm going to do it. And even with me, same thing in insurance, you come really from the, we'll say, land and financial services background. I come from the insurance industry, the property and casualty, and the financial services, but at a different degree. And I saw that opportunity to not only help myself succeed, but really add people to my family that deserve to succeed, that were working equally freaking as hard as us. And it was a matter of, how do I add them to my family? And shit, dude, honestly, I've seen them make millions of dollars now, and I'm sure you have the same.
Yeah.
Because together I go, oh my God, I can't do it without you, and you can't do it without me. But shit, together we're gonna win Super Bowl. Yeah, we're gonna kill it. Yeah.
No, that's one of the things that I love more than anything, is just sitting back and watching. When we have parties and we have people over, I love just watching people and just seeing the excitement and how their demeanor has changed through the years. Because we have people that literally, I was gonna let go, and literally intended to put them on their own path, because part of my responsibility, if you're not earning and you're not following, I have to let you go so that you can go and earn a living for your family. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest responsibilities that we have as business owners, is if people aren't succeeding in what we're doing and it's not a right fit for them, we have to let them go find their fit. And it's a challenging thing, and I've been wrong. It
doesn't always feel good.
No, it's unfortunate. And some of the people I let go, fortunately, they found success in other places, and some of the people that talked me out of letting them go, are just absolutely killing it
Aren't
today.
those the greatest stories?
It's one of the greatest things
it's
ever.
It's the fighting to win, and then you realize, hey, wait, it gives you that, just like in a game of life, the game of life or football or anything else, you call that timeout. They made you give pause to go, wait a minute. And do I believe in this person enough to keep playing this game with them? And isn't it great to be fucking surprised?
Oh gosh, it was, well, once we sat down and after we were, because I met him on a Saturday, because obviously there's nobody there, so we're going to meet at the office on a Saturday, and we're going to go through this.
Come on, all of us entrepreneurs say, well, it's better to do it on the weekend to fire somebody or let them go. Bullshit.
Yeah.
How great. Yeah. So and you didn't happen. They stood up for themselves. They used their voice to win.
So we were talking, and I just wanted to see where the struggles were. And so I said, just present to me and let me see what's going on. So he started presenting to me, and I grabbed my phone and and then he paused, and I said, no disrespect. I'm just going to reply. I'm listening. But what I was doing, I was setting up my phone to record. And then I started recording what he was saying, because who was in front of me was it was a person I didn't know. It was like he changed and tried to be somebody that he wasn't, so there was no authenticity at all. Mm-hmm. And when there's no authenticity, people recognize that in a second, and they'll push back. And you don't even know why they're saying no to you, and you'll never know why. And we found out why right there. And when I stopped him a few minutes into it, and I turned this around, I said, who is this? And when he saw that video himself, he was like, oh my God, that is so embarrassing. He was so shocked and embarrassed. But the reality was, it changed everything going forward for him, because he realized that he was trying to be somebody that he wasn't. He was trying to be some slick oil salesman or something. I don't know what he was trying to be, but he wasn't this guy from the Midwest that's, super warm and embracing and approachable and congenial, everything. He had all the right tools, but wasn't using them because he thought he was supposed to be this salesperson. And I think that's super important too, is you don't try to be somebody that you're not or what you think you should be. Mm-hmm. Just be who you are. And that was probably one of the most important things that I learned, and one of the most challenging things. Because sometimes who you are, you're not happy with, but you're only not happy with it because you're not doing the things you should be doing. And until I realized that, I was kind of lost for a long time. So that kind of helped me a ton. And then to share that with others is like it's kind of a neat blessing.
You know what was, and thank you for sharing that. You know what I heard in that is the beauty of simply, just like in any sport, someone giving you an opportunity to watch a replay gives you a different perspective of who you think you are, or really who you're pretending to be. And only when you, regardless of the lens on you, be who you best can be, your authentic self, mm-hmm. do you even begin to win in life? Because that individual went from, I don't know, $9,000-$10,000. If I think of this same person that we're talking about right now,
for the year,
for the year, guys, $910,000, as we talk about in salary, commission, payroll, however you want to label it, to close to only 6 years in this industry, to close to $500,000, because not only did he have a playbook, he had the person that created the plays. Thank you, Andre, for sharing that. And he had not only you saying, did I create them? I'm willing to continue to play the game and run them with you until you succeed too.
Yeah, it's probably the greatest experience ever to see people, change, their lives change. Mm-hmm. It's probably the biggest blessing. And I think that's one of the drivers. And that's what keeps me going every day, is to see other people's lives change. I mean, my life is completely more than I ever anticipated. So for that, I feel blessed. I know it was a hell of a lot behind it, but still I feel blessed. And to share that with others and to give them that roadmap, or even the opportunity to even go down that road, is kind of fun. I can't force people to do it. I can just share with them what I've experienced and how it affected my life. And I trust that they'll look at it and say, okay, I'm willing to go down that road, but many aren't.
And here's the thing. Not only did you say, here's my playbook and I'm going to open it up to you, just like with you, regardless, even if you have the perfect partner beside you, the perfect playmates beside you, it's still a hard game to play.
Yeah. Well, any business is hard because what are the two things, or what are the few things that people neglect to realize when they're starting a business?
Tell me.
Well, generally you're undercapitalized, and you haven't evaluated the amount of time it's going to take to get up and running. I mean, I think those are the two basic failures that people make in starting a business. You never have enough capital, and you never know how long it's going to take until you can be profitable. And so what do people do? They start, and then if they're not making a bunch of money right away, they give up and go back to a 9-to-5. And that's the thing that people need to realize is it takes more than just a couple little obstacles and a couple little molehills to prevent you from getting what you want to do. You got to be able to go around them, go through them, go over them, do whatever you got to do. But it's up to you to determine that. The whole, if it's meant to be, it'll be crap doesn't work with me. It's meant to be, it's up to me.
The beauty of what you just said is when you talk about capital, right? People think it means dollars and cents, and they forget the human capital.
Oh, the intellectual capital.
Oh, my freaking God. There's no way. You can never trump it. That spirit, if you're on the right mission, doesn't quit.
No.
Doesn't quit.
No. And you mentioned mission. So a lot of people don't even understand that. It's like, what is my mission? Why am I doing this? And when you just tell me you're doing it for money, okay, well, great. That's going to last so long because it's going to run out.
Passion and paycheck.
Yeah, that's not going to last. It's not. It's not a sustainable model. And so for me, it's really about seeing other people's lives change, and as their lives are changing, my lives are changing, and all of our lives are changing together. And that's really what our Couch Hoist family of businesses is about making a difference in not just our worlds, but in everybody else's world as well. Because I firmly believe the more you give, the more you get. And in what we're doing, it's been awesome to be able to be in a position to give, but more importantly, it's even better just to be able to see the excitement and the smiles and the jubilation. As just seeing you in the back of the plane the other day, just sitting there, just taking selfies and doing all that stuff was kind of a neat experience. I mean, it's just kind of fun to see people have those experiences. I love providing experiences with people. It's awesome.
Guys, what he's talking about is I'm in the back of the plane. What he also didn't share, just as most business owners don't, is we're in uncharted territories, but I'm still going to lead you to success. That's what happened, is I'm in the back of the plane. He's piloting his jet. Yeah, his jet, right? That's a result of his success. Your choice, right, to have a jet. And he thought he was going to be in the right seat, which means, I guess, co-piloting in my language. What happening is he got in the left seat, which means piloting, and he'd never done it before. Well, I had no idea. Not only had he never done takeoff, he had never done landing. And guess what? It happened so smoothly, and he didn't back down. And what better person to be on a team with than a captain that says, I have never done it. I've experienced this before, right? Because he's flown before.
No, I've been flying for a lot of years. I have another plane. This is a new plane, so I'm not rated to fly it yet. It's a different plane. And I was not.
Did you hear that? Not rated to fly it. Did you hear how low key you were? I'm not rated to fly it, but I did it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like driving a bigger boat or a different boat. You kind of know the nuances of getting around, but taking off and landing is a little bit different when you're going. It's a much faster plane. So it was an awesome experience. I mean, I'm still on a high. It was really cool. I didn't anticipate it. I actually was going to sit in the back with her, is what I was anticipating. And when we pulled up to the airport, the pilot that I have was going to fly us, and he's like, "Hey, I think it's your plane. Why don't you fly it?" I was like, "Well, I was going to sit in the back, so I'll take off, and then I'll just go in the back. And he goes, well, then you're going to have to sit right chair. He goes, I was going to have you sit left chair and fly the whole route. I was like, all right, I'm done. So then we did it. And yeah, it was kind of fun. It was great.
So how many of you are giving an opportunity in life to be in the driver's seat and either A, take a back seat like I did, and yes, was it an amazing view? It only gets me so far. It gets me that one-time experience. It gets me a repeat of the story. How many of you would have said, okay, please, I'll do it, but I only want to do it if someone else is driving? Which means, again, that's living another person's mission, their message, their dream. Or when given the opportunity, say, I don't know 100% how to do it, but I'm willing to take the driver's seat because somebody else.
Yeah, you got to be coachable. And I mean, just like in life and business and anything else, if you're looking to succeed, find a mentor, find somebody that's been there, that's done it, and ask them a gazillion questions. And the more you ask, the more you're going to realize what you want to know and what you don't want to know. I mean, that's the God's honest truth.
Be careful what you ask.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what I'll say. Be careful what you ask, because sometimes you'll ask, and once you get to a certain level, you're fully transparent, and we're going to share with you everything. Yeah. And you may not be prepared nor want to hear what we share at that level.
I've had many people say after they've had this conversation with me, I don't want your life.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not for everybody. It's definitely not. But the reality of it is, it works for me, and it's fun, and it's a great life. It's more than I ever expected.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. And you're writing a book called Breaking the Mold. Mm-hmm. I'll share one little part of his story. Clearly, you broke the mold. He's Mexican. He's already said that. He's with a wife that was Mormon, BYU. Maybe she still is. I don't know. I can't say one way or the other. I don't know how that shit works. Yeah. Clearly, that's one way of breaking the mold. Let's talk about a few other ways that you've broken the mold so that others realize to get here, it was uncharted.
I think it's more of the stereotypicals. We kind of just do what our parents did. Yeah. And, you go to a point of what you're used to. So a lot of people today, they go to school, they get a job, and, try to save money and, look for a relationship and then buy a house. So, the standard, Norman Rockwell kind of path. And I clearly did not have a Norman Rockwell home that I grew up in, nor did I have the Norman Rockwell path. I mean, I was a total mistake.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, like an oops of 10 years. So,
10 years.
Yeah. So
wow.
My brothers and sisters are much older than me, so I'm the youngest of 4. So it was almost like I was an only child, but I mean,
at 10 years, you felt like it.
Yeah, when I was 10 years old, I was the only one in the house. But,
absolutely.
But it was, and again, I think that's where the feeling of inadequacy came in, because I was never old enough, I was never big enough, I couldn't do anything with anybody, because I was always wanted to stay with mom, had to stay with mom, I always had to be left behind. And maybe that's where it set in. I don't know where it set in, or I think I know where it set in. It probably set in because my mom, who is a total bean Mexican, thinks she's white. So I grew up with this racial environment where my mom was in such denial of who she was. To this day, she'll still say, I'm Caucasian, I'm white. And my birth certificate says I'm Caucasian. It's like, man, Mom, you screwed me up from birth. It's like I'm in this total denial. And I think that's part of, the whole not feeling
where do
good
I
enough.
belong even? Where do
literally.
I belong?
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, allow me to bring that full circle right now, okay? Because I think it's a very pivotal point. How many people right now feel, where do I belong with what's going on? We'll just say politics. You're Mexican, I'm white. People think I had a privileged life. And listen, politics didn't even listen to me. I was molested from the age of 2nd grade to the 15-year age of saying, I'm going to use my voice. You're Mexican. Please, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think racial stereotyping is what you want it to be and what you allow it to be. I mean, yes. you can be victimized by so many things in life, and I think that's the last thing that you should ever let victimize yourself is your ethnicity. But it was part of my upbringing. I mean, so it's part of my story, you know?
Yeah.
This has been another episode of the Game Changing Podcast with your host, Annieca Acker. If today's episode has you stirred up with a fire in your belly, take action by subscribing and sharing this episode with a friend. And in the words of Rhonda Byrne, when we open our minds to the unlimited creative power, we call forth abundance and see and experience a whole new world. Go change the game.